Hello folks, I am back yet again for another review, and today we're taking a look at this. This is a Canadian Pacific Ogden Shops GP9U by Rapido Trains. This locomotive is Canadian Pacific Ogden Shops GP9U in the Can-Do livery #4023 or 4023 in the 2020 plus era. This has sound and Rapido's capacitors. And yeah, so I got this locomotive a couple days ago, and I will say I've taken a look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. I got this locomotive from Otter Valley for I think 350 Canadian dollars, I think it was. Maybe it was 305. I don't remember the exact amount, but around there. And also, Otter Valley wrote me this little note. Tedrick, thank you. Have a great day. I love how they do this. I don't think any other manufacturer does stuff like this. Or I say manufacturer. Otter Valley technically is a manufacturer because they make their own model trains. But they are also a hobby shop. So yeah. Let's pull the wrapping off because I know this annoys a lot of people. Oh yeah, there's that color. There we go. Alright. Here it is. And you can almost see me. It's that reflective. Nice. Alright, let's pull it out here. If I even can. Oh, there we go. Nice new Rapido. Oh, and it smells good too. So let's put this over here for now. I say over here, you can't see where I'm saying, but yeah. Here's the box. Can-Do GP9U. And let's pull her out. It's very tight. Very tight. There we go. And I will say, I think out of all the manuals I've ever had from a Rapido locomotive, this is the best looking one I've ever had. I love the CP rail red. It looks incredible. And yeah, I can't even open it. But yeah, this has 30 functions, which is more than usual. And yeah, there's your functions. If you'd like, you can pause and read that. And yeah, so here's some stickers. Report an emergency. I wonder what happened if you actually call this number here. This might be Rapido's phone number. Rapido train sticker. And Ogden GP9U. Now, I think we all know what I have to do. And there we go. Much better. Alright, now back to the model here. And yeah, there it is. We do have some parts here. These are flags, and then green flags, which is pretty interesting. And then a pushed out window, if you would need that. I'm not entirely sure what they're used for, but I know my MR-20C had that. Nothing else in the slot. Alright, and there we go. Alright, let's move this over here. No, not move that over there. And yeah, here it is. So let's pull it out here. No more delays. It's a very loose packaging fit, that's for sure. This is barely on. Yeah, there we go. Of course, as usual with Rapido, we do have packaging, foams. Alright, there we go. That's it. Out of all of its protective wrapping. And yeah, as you can see, this is a absolutely beautiful model by Rapido. Can-Do. with rotating roller bearings, which is new for Rapido. They don't always do this. The Schnoot News, or Schnoot Nose. A lot of fan detail. Of course, on the underframe, we have a lot of piping. As per usual with Rapido models, it is practically a standard for them at this point. Of course, traction motor detail. The brake reservoir, I think that is, or air reservoir detail. And of course, yeah, all that piping just looks great. Absolutely incredible. And I believe, I don't remember if I'm correct on this, but I think the gauge lights are lit. Yeah, gauge lights are lit. The lights in the cab are lit. The ground lights are lit, but they actually are lit out of the detail piece, which is pretty cool. Ditch lights are the brightest lights I've ever seen on a model. Actually, like the brightest lights I've ever seen. They're great. And then this, the speed recorder hose actually connects up into the model and rotates, which is really cool. I have never seen that before. But the only thing I have to complain about with this model is the fact that the sander lines are so soft that they just hang on the track. Which that might be something worth sending this to warranty for. Which it might be worth sending this to warranty for because, like I said, they're just so soft that they just hang onto the track. They don't cause issues because they're so soft, but they just, yeah, hang on the track. And yeah, there it is. But alright, without any further ado, let's go over to the coupler height test. Alright, so here it is down on the coupler height test, I guess, display case. Of course, we have the trusty tangent scale hopper, and of course, the GP9U. And yeah, what's right here? Let's see. Will it be accurate? Yep, the front, or A end, or F end, is good. Now let's see how the rear, or B end, is. And yeah, you can see how those are touching the track. But let's see here. That is also a perfect coupler height. Alright, great job from Rapido there. They're usually not level. But alright, let's go over to the 20-second radius test. Alright, so here for 20-second radius test. Now, out of all the locomotives ever to have failed this test, I would have never said this would fail it. And, well, this failed it. Yes, really, this locomotive failed it. As you can see, it pops up there, and you can probably hear it too. I did it a second time here. I think I did it about 4 different times, and it failed every single time. This is a switcher. I think it's a switcher. It's also a road locomotive, too. I would expect this to be able to do a 20-second radius, and it can't. So, yeah, that's very disappointing. Now, I will say, just before it goes into 20-second radius, on the other side of the layout there, I do have a bit of a hump. But the thing is, that hump's there just for testing purposes, and it's a very small hump, too. Very gradual. But yeah, as you can see, that rear axle is off. So yeah, disappointing there at most. But alright, let's move on to the next section, the light test. Or I should say, light brightness test, to see truly how bright these really are. So just to set a little bit of a baseline here first, this is a Scale Trains SD40-2 with the ditch lights on the bottom with the new LED lights, 2025 run I believe it is. So just for show here, I have Rule 17 lighting on, so I can't turn the ditch lights on without moving. That's how bright these lights are. Now let's go over to the GP9U. And now on the GP9U, headlight and ditch lights. It's like a sun in your eyes. It's crazy, to be honest, how bright they are. Like, I think this is a realistic brightness, if I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, that's pretty nice. And now here's the rear ditch lights. And the rear ones, again, like, it's crazy how bright these are. I don't really get how Rapido made these so bright, but they sure did. And this really illuminates the basement, by the way. I can see it on the other end of my wall. These are that bright. So yeah, quite the difference when it comes to lighting. Oh, you can see it through my fingers. They're that bright. Yeah, great job from Rapido there, that's for sure. Alright, let's move on. Functions display session. Alright folks, I hope you all enjoyed that function session, and just as I was filming that, some stuff came in the mail, again from Otter Valley. This should be the Lock Sound soundboard and the Soundtrack Tsunami Sound Super Bass speakers for the MTHF unit, B unit over there. So yeah, that's going to be exciting to install, and also some new lights for the Tsunami, or I say Tsunami Athearn SD70As, and for the U50. So yeah, alrighty folks, so let's head over to the ring session. And yeah, I will say a couple things with the functions. There are no Rapido funnies, which to be honest does suck. I did like the Rapido funnies, but the thing is, I guess it really doesn't suck because after all, they really were just useless functions. Let's be honest here, they were just taking up space. But I don't quite see why there are two functions missing in the manual. Like they're supposed to be Rapido funnies, but there's not. As you can see where it says rear headlight off, it jumps from F16, and 15 is missing too, I just realized that. 15, 17, and 18 is missing. And I'll try those now, but of course, they don't do anything. Yeah, 15 doesn't do anything, 17 does nothing, and 18 does nothing either. So I don't know why they put 30 functions, which they really could have put F29 and F30 at F15 or 17 or 18. Because after all, to access those functions with a Digitrax controller, or something like how I use a NCE controller, you would have to either buy a Lock Sound eCoast or buy a Lock Sound programmer, so you can then change those functions to access them. So yeah, very unfortunate there. But yeah, without any further ado, let's start that writing session. Oh right, something I forgot to mention here is Rapido doesn't have the correct horns for these locomotives in the sound manual. After all, at least when I searched it up, apparently this locomotive should have had a K3LA, whilst in the manual there's only a K3L, another K3L, and then an M3H. So yeah, very unfortunate there. I would have loved to see a K-3LH. So yeah, very disappointing there. Although they aren't even dashes, to be honest. It's just a K3LA. So yeah, unfortunately, there is no prototypical horn in the manual for this. So I guess the only way to actually do that would be to add one, but I have no idea how to do that. So yeah. Alright folks, I'll just be running the other K-3L since there is no correct horn on this model. Alrighty, folks, thank you so much for watching to the end here. I do hope you all enjoyed this review, and yeah, I have to say, this is definitely a good locomotive. God, just look at yeah, just look at how bright those lights are. Absolutely incredible. I wish all Rapido models were like this, and heck, I wish all models were like this, that's for sure. Definitely great lighting. But yeah, let's go over to the points now. So for those who are new to my channel, I do a point system around here, which is out of 100. Now if I find something that's bad, or prototypically wrong, or just bad in general, I take points off, starting at 100, minusing in 5, 10, 15, 20 increments. So yeah, let's start here first. So, those, what are they called again? Sand lines that run down to the wheels. They shouldn't be sticking out like that, I'll be honest. I'm taking 5 points off of that. Brings us down to 95 points. And I think that's really it. I don't think there's anything else wrong with the model. Because everything else seems to be fine. Yeah, so I think that's really it. Just taking 5 points off for those sander lines. And it is a bit strange though that I will say, it is a bit strange that for some reason there is functions that are not like there. I do think personally that they should have put those functions that are in F29 and F30 in F7 or F18, 17, and 16 it was, I think. They definitely should have put that there because unless you have a lock programmer, like I said, or an ECOS, or the other things that ESU Locksound makes, you can't access those functions. No matter what you do, you can't. Unless you can remap Locksound functions without a lock programmer, but I'm pretty sure you have to have a lock programmer to do anything. So yeah, disappointing there. I think I will take another 5 points off for that, just because, well, user friendliness. So minus 5 points again. Also, I almost forgot the most important thing. 20-second radius test. That was a complete flop, in my opinion, with this locomotive. I should say flop. They should have ran it. They should have done it completely fine. Now, Rapido doesn't say a recommended minimum radius, which is strange. Unless I missed it. I probably missed it. But it should run on 20-second radius, so I'm taking another 5 points off there. That brings us down to 85. Kind of disappointing with that, too. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for my point system today. It's an 85 out of 100. That's still really good. That's still worth your money. Especially for the level of detail on this locomotive. It's definitely a good one. I just wish Rapido put the accurate horn sound in the files. But yeah, thank you folks so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. And I hopefully see you in my next one. This is Cedric Trains, signing out.